Hello and good evening. You're watching the Policy Times, world's first policy and development media. Whatever Policy Times does, it has to bring a positive contribution in the form of awareness or nation building. That is our motto. Policy Times, since last 4 years, has been regularly organizing webinars, discussions, talk show to bring the experts who have really contributed immensely in their own respective field, and that voice we want to take to the country and to different stakeholders of the society, so that that becomes best practice for the others to follow, and that contribution also becomes a role model for the nation. Now today is a very special show where we are having an interaction with one of the most or highly successful Indian, whose job and role and contribution can be the beginning of the manufacturing magic that India is waiting for. This is the era of India. Next 30 to 50 years belongs to India. It will be very interesting to see that how India leverage its image or global positive image, and become the next global growth engine. So I welcome one of our key speaker today, Mr. Prakash Jain, who is the managing director of Monotech Systems. And with him, I'm always honored to have Dr.P.Sekhar, who is the chairman of Unleashing India Global Smart City Panel, and also has been mentoring Policy Times and us in terms of taking, because we are also a startup, and taking us to a complete different league in contributing to our nation. With him, I have Srikanth PG, who is a reputed speaker, business project expert, and coach of additive manufacturing, 3D printing. So I'll quickly go and welcome Mr. Jain on behalf of the Policy Times fraternity. Mr. Jain has built Monotech from the inception to one of the highly successful companies, organizations within a period of 15 years, with the market leadership in many segments, including the printing technology, equipment, and solution provided. Monotech today is a company which has 21 offices and 450 plus team members engaged in manufacturing, distribution of pre-press, digital printing, and many other technology front that we will hear from them today. Why I said this? Because India is supposed to be the next hub of manufacturing. I'll give a couple of facts before we begin. Our manufacturing sector today contributes around close to $350 billion, which is growing at 19% in terms of gross value added, GVA. But it has the potential to become a $1 trillion industry or sector by 2025. Though in terms of GDP contribution, the percentage remains low, it will remain moderate, but in terms of value and valuation, it will be a very big. Packaging industry, which is also very closely worked with manufacturing, is the 5th largest sector of India, which is again growing at a CAGR of 26% plus rate, and which has again an immense potential to grow. And followed by the printing sector, which is witnessing a massive disruption. Now, 3D printing, which Monotech is promoting or Monotech is actually mastering, has the potential of making India the global manufacturing hub. And that is also one of the core objectives of Policy Times, and also one of the core objectives and mission of India. That is why India, through many policies like Make in India and all, are coming out in this. So I'll not take further. I'm really excited to hear from Mr. Jain how his vision of promoting 3D printing and manufacturing can really take India to the mission that we all have together. I will request Dr. Sekhar to kindly give a brief note to begin the discussion with.
Thank you, Akram. Very nice to have a different type of topic. Many of our topics are infrastructure, education. Here is something which will encompass everything, because it is printing and packaging. Nobody can escape these two aspects. the printing, packaging, and 3D printing. 3D printing has a different dimension. Like Akram said, if India has to go and replace China as a world leader in production, India has to have 3D printing in a very big way, in a massive way. So here is somebody who has struggled his way out and come out successfully as a leader is something which is worth hearing. Now, in terms of printing, we know how complex it is. Many people thought printing will be a dead industry because of IT coming in picture. It has survived. It just like when TV came, people thought nobody will go and watch a cricket match. But today, more people are watching. Same way, printing is there to stay in a different dimension. Yes, in certain wasteful way, yes, nobody wants printing to be, just keep on printing every unnecessary documents. That will not happen. Packaging is extremely important, except for the plastic portion, which has already got a good degree of replacement and good degree of recycling, good degree of way in which it'll add to the growth rather than subvert the growth. And of course, 3D, as I said, is a very hardcore thing which is required. Now, with a small brief, let me now request, I will come to my presentation a little later, Mr. Jain to give an introductory talk about his personal journey, the way he has set Monotech, the way he is successfully growing, and what is his wish list. And after that, again, I will give a small presentation, and then he will have to give a much detailed understanding of the field, the way it is going to be a leader, the way Government of India has to help and have something like a printing and packaging hub, because hub part I'll cover in my presentation. So it'll add value to his second round of presentation. Then our friend Srikanth, he has got a very good presentation. He will give a presentation after that. And I'm sure this is going to be an exciting event and which will be fruitful, which will be highly meaningful for all. Mr. Jain.
Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Sekhar and Mr. Akram for giving the introduction and sort of putting the stage for today's event, which basically relates to the printing and packaging and 3D printing industry. And as Dr. Sekhar mentioned, that sometimes people feel that printing will vanish, but then it doesn't, and it will not, because it's a very, very dynamic industry. And if I say summarize the heart of the printing industry, it is graphic arts, and the art always remain. The only thing is it changes form, and today, coupled with the technology, it is it's coming into many different manifestations and many different aspects of life or aspects which touches life. So that's what this industry is, and I'll of course share more details as I go later in next part of my presentation. But just to give a quick introduction about what Monotech is. So we started our journey in the year 1999, and at that time, of course, we started as a pre-press equipment provider company. We were dealing in high-end image setters, scanners, and the CTPs. So that's how we began our journey. And as we went along, we kept on adding equipment, which were related to it, which were addressing different aspects of graphic arts, printing, packaging, even the newspaper printing. And we geographically also expanded within India. The team size grew. The number of offices grew, and we started importing equipment from many different parts of the world. We became quite successful in introducing some new concepts in India. So one such concept, our first initial success was bringing in the conventional plate technology in India. Normally, worldwide, the thermal or violet plate technology was going, very strong, and but we realized the difference, and we took a contrarian view in India, where we've seen that the print volumes are very high, and we need to give an equipment which might be expensive, but the running cost is low, and that became quite successful. We were the market leaders in this technology, and the whole tide changed in the Indian market. Even till today, the market is predominantly conventional plate market, though of course the alternative technologies have place, but the conventional plate technology still rules the Indian market. Our next big move was the digital printing. There we associated with Konica Minolta, and we saw a big opportunity there as to how we can position this technology, which is a little different from the prevalent technologies at that time. And from the scratch, like in a period of about 5 to 6 years, we became market leaders. We had about 1,100 installations of Konica Minolta, and of course, installations in every province of India. That stage, we sold that business to Konica Minolta as they wanted to be direct in the market. And we started with a different vision. Like till that time, the vision was to bring the different technologies from across the globe and introduce in the Indian market, let the latest technologies be used by the people in printing and packaging industry. And when we sold the business, the Konica Minolta business, the vision, the strategy changed. So it became how do we become a manufacturer, predominantly a manufacturer and distributor. And instead of bringing technologies from different countries, how do we export the technology or products, built on technology, the latest technology, to different parts of the world. So we specialize in inkjet printing technology. And today, of course, like everyone realizes that inkjet printing is future of the printing industry. So that's where we started building products. We have two very specialized verticals. One which builds the products on in narrow format, which goes into digital printing, print on demand, security printing, and we lead the market there. We have been able to export, to 20 plus countries. Like we have installations in more than 20 countries, and the kind of the solutions which we are building, which are quite unique, and we hope to go far as the response which we are getting and the network which we are trying to build. So the vision is reverse, one side the dominance in the Indian market, and now we are going the reverse way. We have we got good success, and on the other side on the wide format, we have manufacturing facility here in Chennai, and the focus is the industrial printing. See, the normal understanding of the printing is the printing and packaging. But then there's a big resurgence, a big growth happening. Say today, textile, we were not sort of taking it as part of the printing market, but today it's a huge market for printing. Similarly, if we go into the printing of glass, printing on, the doors, the PVC doors, which used to be, printed in a conventional way. Today, it's being printed in a digital printing manner. So that is another manufacturing facility we set up. And again, while initially we were addressing the signage market, but then decided to address the industrial printing market, which again is a huge market, which had a different kind of requirement. But then we tuned ourselves in terms of product, in terms of the applications, which were developed by us. And today we again are, the market leaders as far as providing digital printers for industrial printing solution. Then the line which we added, after we sold the Konica Minolta business, the 3D printing, of course, we were addressing in a way to manufacturing industry, engineering industry with our products, large format printing products, and had a connect with that market and have been hearing about 3D printing. Of course, it's a different field altogether. So while we were part of printing industry, the name is similar, and of course there are a few other things which we can say those in terms of certain technologies, the inkjet plays the same role where we have good expertise. So that's where we were studying it, and we thought that yes, there is an opportunity. We have been traveling to countries like Germany, US, and have seen the adoption of this technology. And thought to bring it, we associated with some good companies overseas, tied up with them, and started our journey in 3D printing. Of course, it has been a very slow start, and prototyping was not a big market opportunity as such in India. The numbers were small, but as we went along, we are seeing a phenomenal growth happening. And we also have been able to put together a big team who has got a specialization. We have an experience center where we have 26 different 3D printing and scanning equipment, where we can showcase the right from designing, prototyping, and some of the equipment are capable of manufacturing including some metal printers, which can make the parts which can be used, in a real-time situation. So that is another area, so we have an experience center. We have, we are working with about 9 to 10 global companies in that regard, and say almost have access to all different technologies in 3D printing. And thanks to the government of India's efforts, to bring this in the forefront, and of course the industry's own, efforts to the accelerate the adoption of Industry 4.0. We are seeing good traction, happening as far as 3D printing is concerned. And today we are equipped, in terms of providing any solution as far as 3D printing is concerned. As I mentioned, we became market leaders in digital printing, with Konica Minolta, sold Konica Minolta business. Then recently we have tied up with Ricoh, which is again a major international brand, providing digital printing solution. And we are the national distributors. Again, we have the experience center for Ricoh, in Chennai as well as Delhi, and getting a strong traction, because it again, see the concept, the whole concept of printing is changing. It used to be CMYK. And say, as Dr. Sekhar mentioned, now probably the printing may not be relevant, but then see it's becoming CMYK plus. So you put say you do give a different dimension. So either you do embossing or you do foiling or you use special colors, which is not possible in the normal printing process. So and again, you have to build the applications around it, and that's what our focus has been. Being connected with the industry for long, having specialization, in building products, in developing applications. So we have been able to sort of position ourselves differently rather than just a CMYK printer. We have been able to bring those specialized printing into the market. In fact, Spodix is another company, very innovative company based in Israel, which makes, the enhancement printer, we call it digital enhancement printer, where, say, all of us are familiar that the enhancement like embossing used to happen where, say, it used to happen mechanically. And, the backside of the paper, you used to have that kind of impression, whereas now it can be done digitally, which makes it much more appealing. And the same way, you can do foiling. So there are a lot of value-added things which have come, which have gone into printing, which have gone into packaging. And Monotech has been, at the forefront, I would say, in the Indian market to bring these different, innovations, new technologies, new applications, and, reach out to the customers in India. Going forward, yes, as I said, in the manufacturing, the journey has just begun. A lot of, the products which are on our agenda, we already participated, in the global market successfully, having successfully installed the products in 20 plus countries. In fact, some of the products we recently launched, and the first installation, in fact, it's from our jet ski vertical. It's a digital label press, and the first installation is happening outside India in Serbia, in about a month's time. So that's the kind of positioning we could obtain, through our team, through our efforts, through our passion to understand the new technology, the market trends, and build products around that technology. So these are basically the core products which we are handling. In addition, of course, we continue to do the CTP products with which we started. But of course, the market has come a long way. The things are changing. But then we also repositioned ourselves, addressing, apart from the offset market, now we address the Gravium printing market, Flexo printing market. So these are the additional, the other markets. So in a way, if I can summarize, today we address almost every segment of printing and packaging market in terms of providing a solution, which is relevant to them. And in the same way, we provide solution for the 3D printing market, which again can address any requirement in that market. And of course, our vision now is a global vision to participate strongly, into the global markets. We have, the initial success is really very encouraging, which sort of motivates us to take further steps to consolidate and further, enhance our position. So that's briefly about Monotech, and I think as Dr. Akram already mentioned that, we have 20 plus offices across India, more than, 450 plus people on board. and continue to grow. So that's about Monotech.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jain. Really wonderful to see. And I was following each of your words very closely. I'm really very proud today that Policy Times, as a media, has taken manufacturing and 3D printing or printing and packaging thing at the forefront. And we are doing this show. I hope and wish all Indian media actually focuses this and take this to every Indian. Because if you really want to be a world manufacturing hub, we need to, despite whether they are interesting or difficult, we need to take this to global stage. And every Indian should be very well aware about the manufacturing nitty-gritties. That manufacturing is a culture. How we imbibe that culture within us, then we become the hub. So I'll request Dr. Sekhar now with this to kindly make a short presentation on the thing, and then we'll go forward.
Thank you, Mr. Jain. Thank you, Akram. I'll make this short and sweet.
Yeah.
Because this is just to give a flair of the topic under discussion: printing, packaging, and manufacturing. Okay. So I will just go over some numbers, some concepts, and how the way forward we should have. Now, as we are all talking of India, we should know that we are in a very complex and a very opportunistic country, because as a country, we have so many problems, but we have a lot more opportunities. And people like Jain have made it a point to see the opportunities are more than the problems which are being surmounted. Otherwise, generally, there is always a crybaby approach. Oh, this is not there, that's not there. And yes, we know that they are all not there, but how to take it out? But the opportunities are, there is a huge paying population, there is a growing population, there is a good understanding globally. We are the only country which is welcome throughout the world except some 3 or 4 countries. The rest all countries are not liked by other people. So they are always ready to take products from India. So I will not go into detail. I will not go into detail of COVID also. Today we will not touch COVID for a change, because there's no point in. And I will also rush through this. It will not be, screen by screen description. This is just to say that there's a very good market size. We are talking of almost $157 billion worth of business, which means people like him and others related this thing, they can have a very good presence. And same thing as a global market is almost $46 billion. That was in rupees, the other one. So print industry 2021 and beyond is something which has to see from COVID angle, as well as from Indian angle, and as well as the technological requirement angle. How people are ready to adopt this, people are ready to come over the problems which are created by certain types of packaging, certain types of printing, certain types of some were really real life problems, some were really imagined problems, and how we are coming out of it, and how we educate the people the real benefits, which is what is the challenges. So which we have to see post-COVID, post-2021 means more of post-COVID. COVID is going to change our way of thinking, change our type of this region. Now, since we are talking of 3D printing also, I got few slides on 3D printing. It was supposed to have come back. It's all from published records, 1884. And this is a history of the person who has started. And this is the way it has gone. And why I took pain to put a little more slides on this is because 3D is going to be a game changer, like all of us have been saying, in the manufacturing industry. Because in manufacturing industry, prototyping itself is the biggest problem which everybody faces. Many times you do a final product which is good, but your prototyping is not good. So it is like be good and be seen to be good. For be seen to be good, 3D printing plays a huge role. And it also plays a huge role in actual working. So again, these are all various steps for the 3D printing to be this thing. And these are the advantages, because it's all 3D printing allows ideas to develop faster than ever anything. It has got zero scrap. It is verify a design before investing in an expensive molding tool. And with prototyping is absolutely easy, and get the market feedback before you actually put the money. In many places, people have got wound up because the prototype itself was having a limited acceptance and limited use. So here in 3D printing, those days have gone. The person actually sees what he wants, maybe much costlier, but there's only the prototype portion. Then when the actual production comes, it is far cheaper. So in the overall sense, that becomes absolutely to the dot on the way we want it. This again, packaging industry. I will not go too deep into these slides because I would like to close in the next 2 minutes. So we are in all this thing, we are trying to say that India, to be a manufacturing hub, has to take some of the ground level problems. I myself am promoting so many smart cities in India, abroad, and so on and so forth. And I have a panel called Global Smart City Panel, in which quite many people who matter are there in the panel. And oddly, I had written a book on smart city in 2012. A national policy came in 2014. So what is important? What I'm linking? We need everywhere these type of hubs to come in picture, so that people like Jain can really do something which is good. So some of the hubs can be major hubs only devoted to all the aspect. In other places, this will be a minor hub to take advantage of the requirement of all the industry, because I'm promoting some defense hub. Now, defense hub without 3D printing cannot do anything. It should be part of it. There are hubs there are 24 smart cities we are planning between Bombay and Nagpur. In at least 4 of them, there should be a 3D printing facility, 3D this thing hubs, so to say. Hub printing facility is just a small building. Hub means it's a structure which will take care of the requirement. So while talking all this thing, there's a huge market, because whenever we talk to any foreigner today, European, they're seeing at the highest level. Even 2 days back, the Silicon Valley is one of the key persons who had developed Silicon Valley had come on the show. His main thing was how to make India the real hub for development. Okay, those things cannot come unless we close the small dots. Some of the dots are closed, and one of the major dot is printing, publishing, 3D printing plus packaging. So that being the case, the exports will be good, the local production will be good, the local production to the world standard will be much, much higher, because today we do have certain products which are all good, but they may not be world standard. So this will directly make it double jump into a world standard. So that is what is the other portions which I'm trying to put in these slides. Now I'll directly go to second last slide. Yes, this second last slide. Now, all this thing we are trying to say is through a process which is called secured governance. Secured governance is a process for self-sustained growth of economy. If Mr. Jain wants to double jump his growth of his company, he cannot put so much money. Okay. In secured governance, it takes care of the valuation which comes as a prerequisite, so that the funds can come much more easily. Today, in the world, where we find that people from Europe, people from USA, they are waiting to fund India, but they are afraid. They feel that returns are not coming, returns are not challenged. In secured governance, this takes care of their requirement. It's a very detailed topic by itself. I'll only say that because of value valuation, the fund which is coming can easily be taken care. So with that, I will close my part of the talk, and then now request Mr. Jain to have the second round. Then afterwards, our friend Srikanth has got a presentation to go. Srikanth is a very dynamic presenter, so we are giving him after Mr. Jain's talk.
Thank you, thank you, Dr. Sekhar. So it was quite interesting. I think we put some data points, and we could see, the growth happening in, all the industry segments about which we're talking today. So let me give a small perspective about the printing and packaging industry. The size of the market is almost about $11 billion. Of course, the size can be measured in different ways, because if in a way we measure the packaging industry, that itself is about $72 billion. But then what we're considering is the printing component of the printing and packaging industry, and that constitutes about $11 billion. This comprises of commercial printing as well as packaging printing. And if we look back, the commercial printing has been growing at a slower pace, I would say about 8 to 10% per annum, whereas the packaging printing has been growing, much faster at about 16, 17%. And going forward, as we are seeing, the preference for packaging is increasing. with e-commerce happening, and of course the people are getting connected. Things are becoming, very, very convenient in terms of sort of ordering and getting the things through different media. But of course, one thing is very, very important, that packaging plays a very, very important role, whether it is online or the offline. And a lot of innovations which have happened in packaging. One such big innovation is smart packaging, where you can put the dynamic QR code on the packaging, and where the customer, there can be a continuous interaction between the manufacturer, the brand owner, and the customer throughout the product life cycle. So these are the things which are happening. But if we look at the how India as a country, is sort of in a position to embrace this kind of improvements, developments, innovations which are happening. If you look at the number of the institutions which are educating the printing, the printing technology students, in terms of graduates and undergraduates, we have about 36 institutes, which turn out about close to about 5,000 students, who graduate in terms of printing technology graduation or post graduation program. And if you look at the size of the industry in India, it's say if you see the publishing houses, about 40 to 45,000 publishing houses, and about 250,000 the printers across India, who are doing different kind of, be it the commercial printing, digital printing, flexo printing, gravure printing, the different forms of printing. Now the big challenge for the industry, for the country is, yes, we have the manpower, we have the educated manpower, and we have a huge industry who is participating in terms of giving different kind of solutions required for the printing and packaging. But then the adoption of technology, that has been one big challenge, where the things have been slow. We can still find people using the very old technology, producing products, be it for printing or for packaging. And that's where some sort of acceleration is required in terms of reaching out and sort of giving a platform to these people to grow, because of course the people will invest provided they see an opportunity, they see the growth happening. And that is where we find that the people are not able to timely transition from one stage of technology to another stage of technology, and that results into business failures. Printing industry, basically it used to be a family business, but the way the things have happened, in past many years, the next generation is coming, it's becoming more professional. A lot of, the corporate printers have come into India. And I'm proud to say that, we have printers in India who have got global recognition, for consecutive years, they're getting, the Golden Peacock Award, and, many different international recognitions, which are being obtained by Indian printers. So in a way, we have a good industry structure in place. We have players who are able to adopt technology. We have players, who can really produce world class. But at the same time, we have a huge industry who's, who are not able to change in time, adopt technology in time, and sort of be part of that growth which can happen and which can bring a bigger a better transformation of the whole industry. And that is where we feel that certain policy initiatives are required from government side, because again here there are three aspects. One is the technology, which of course is available at a cost. The people are traveling, they know what are the things that are happening. And today, of course, it has become far more easier as everyone is connected. So at your fingertip, what is the technology available. The other two aspects, are the technology and marketing. So these are the two things, which are required. And in terms of marketing, that's where I think we lack. While we have capability, we are not able to sort of put it forward, and that's where if a platform is provided, from the government side, where the people are able to sort of adopt the technology faster and sort of, promote it, promote their products, solutions. Of course, today's technology gives that window where, and there are a lot of platforms are coming, and of course the people are changing, but the process can still, sort of get accelerated if that kind of thrust is given. See, if I look at, the way the other countries have progressed, and the way the industry has progressed, see, China is a big example where we've seen phenomenal growth happening, in terms of the industry, like the printing and packaging industry, the solutions which are available to printing and packaging industry. And see, the one major reason is, yes, like the capital is required, the people have been able to access capital, the people have been able to access technology, but then they have been able to showcase their capabilities in a much organized manner, which we are not. Like in India today, like, of course we have events, but we don't have events of that size and scale where people can showcase, what capabilities they have. And again, like it's one is showcasing, and another thing is attracting the international audience, like who can come and see and, like get connected and do business with us. So both the things, like are very, very important. See, if we look at India and the major cities of India, like we participate continuously in exhibitions around the country to showcase our products, applications, and it's pity that we have very few like international class exhibition centers, like where we can show our capabilities. And see, unless we have that kind of an ecosystem where like we are able to showcase our products, our capabilities, and at the same time attract international audience, like who come, like, and there's, like there are good exhibition centers, there are, say, other paraphernalia which is required, which attracts them. I'm pretty sure that we have the domain knowledge, we have the capability to build, like world-class products and solutions. And once these are things, like if these are addressed, the industry can really go a long way. And we, as I mentioned, we have good examples in India who are exporting right now, who are building products which are world class. If you see their products, the innovation is phenomenal. In fact, I'll just give an example. Say we do a product, as I mentioned, Squadix, which is a digital print enhancement, where like you can give a special effect to any printing, whether it is a commercial printing or packaging printing. So you can do embossing, foiling. We started our journey in the photo market, where we we saw the technology. We have seen a photo album, like in India, and we use the technology to enhance the photo album, where you can get, like the real life effect on the print. And that became, like today you walk into any exhibition, photo exhibition, you will find the embossed, like they call it embossed printing, but the embossing and foiling is happening, like in that way. So today that market itself has grown, like say the embossing and foiling. If you see, like in terms of the commercial printing, be it business cards, brochures, like, and even in packaging, the sweet boxes. See, if you see, people are doing, like using in sweet boxes, diaries, and calendars. So there are many the applications which have developed, and the people have adopted the technology. So if they get the right platform to promote it, definitely, see, the things can become, like much better, much faster, and the reach to the international market in terms of giving the solution can be very, very effective. I was just giving like another example of Squadix. So while we did it, see, they hold international, like awards every year, and where like our customers who are using Squadix, like giving different kind of enhancement, they send their entries, and so even last year, one of our customer, so he won the best global award, and we have been getting it for almost like 4 out of last 5 years. The printers from India who have adopted this technology, the new technology of print enhancement, they have been getting the best global recognition. So in terms of talent, in terms of ability to adopt technology, in terms of ability to use the technology effectively, we are no less. But the thing is, there are no platforms available where we can really showcase it to the global audience, the larger audience, and reach out, like our products, our services, our capabilities, and create a wider market opportunity. So that's where I feel, like there is a gap, and which need to be, sort of bridged. Another very important thing, as I mentioned, the smart packaging, which is becoming, particularly in today's context, where, see, the track and trace, like everyone wants to know, like what has eventually happened, like to the product, right from initiation till it reaches the last point, and building, sort of a constant communication with the customer. So this is again a very important aspect, which is getting into prominence. And we have built a solution, of course, like we have our own solution, track and trace solution, where we provide smart, QR code on any packaging, and it can be, the product can be traced, so the people can use this, the new technologies, innovative technologies, which is not only relevant in India, of course, it can go to global audience also, and sort of create a good market opportunity while giving the solution which is required today. Coming to the 3D printing side of it, see, this is something, like which is creating new opportunities in the market. And while the starting was slow, the addressable market was very small in terms of prototyping. But then as the new opportunities are arising, where the industry 4.0 adoption is getting accelerated, everyone is realizing that if like they need to build smart factories, it has to be sort of on demand kind of a production situation, and that's what is going to be future. And when a lot of personalization is required, like say in future, a lot of things will move into sort of your own individual need or your own personalized requirement. The products will be built according to that, rather than the mass manufacturing, which is still happening. But going forward, I strongly feel that mass manufacturing will change to more and more personalized, on demand. Like say you want something, you walk in and you get it. Or like there's no need to have a like say the ancillary units, like they manufacturing, they stocking, they again restocking at the point of like the production or assembly. So the things can happen online, like as you need, you produce, and like the assembly line picks it up and the product gets built. So that's what is the future of manufacturing. Of course, it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's going to take time, but there are definitive steps, like which we can see, like the happening as the new products, like gets built, the new technology, gets adopted, and that's where I feel, is the future of 3D printing. A lot of possibilities and a lot of opportunities, like say in different manufacturing sectors, where like it is going to sort of bring speed in terms of product development, in terms of personalization, in terms of cost reduction, and like sort of giving a different experience to the customer. Say as we see the things happening overseas, where like say the people going into space and getting a experience like of space journey, and we see a similar thing happening in India. So in fact, I was reading today that like almost every day you have a unicorn, like in India, which is very, very heartening. Like so when we are coming into like say where we have never seen this kind of situation in India. Like the first time we are seeing that lot of activity happening all around. And the younger generation, they are in a different, like we have seen business in a different environment altogether, where like say it is the certain things are given today, they write on a clean slate, like they just like it all starts from a problem and the solution, and the things are sort of becoming big and getting scaled up. And that's where like say that the 3D comes into play, because say as all these like the innovations are happening, and like see, you need speed there, you need innovation there, you cannot wait for a part to be built, like in the conventional processes, like taking so many days. So that is where say we are fortunate to have like joined the industry at the right time, created a sort of good partnerships, made available the right products which can address different needs, and of course have created our own experience center, where all these technologies are available. We have a team of experts, like who can really advise the people who want to adopt, like the 3D printing technology. In fact, we also started a new, sort of initiative where we provide a 3D printer to a customer for a certain number of days, so that they can experience it themselves, because again, like say, while we do a lot of education sessions, seminars, and different activities, but this is another initiative which we have taken, that like say, use it to feel it, and like see the parts, like how it gets built up, and whether you can really use it in your live manufacturing environment. So it's very, very exciting. A lot of developments are happening, and we are trying to keep pace with the developments which are happening, and at the same time effectively communicating that to the audience, like in the Indian market, and making sure that they are able to adopt this technology to take benefit of it. And say the manufacturing is one sector which we are looking at, with a lot of promise, and things have started happening. We've done some very interesting installs, and going forward, I think there'll be the huge opportunities, like as far as 3D printing is concerned. So all these areas, like where say say one is the domain knowledge, and the second is the technology, and it's a great mixture of both, like which is sort of making the things happen and really bring that kind of speed in terms of adoption. And we are glad to be part of it, and we see like good growth opportunities, like both in the printing, packaging, as well as 3D printing industry.
Thank you. You really presented it really nicely. For a person in the packaging industry, you really presented whatever you had to say very effectively. And now we have Mr. Srikanth. You have a presentation. Please give your introduction and presentation. Srikanth, you're done with it.
Yeah, thank you, thank you, Dr. Sekhar, and Mr. Akram, I think is there. Very, very, inspirational speech from Mr. Jain. I'm going to throw a little different perspective at the beginning and then take on to what I need to present, just a couple of minutes. I've been watching and knowing Mr. Jain for a long time. You talked about Scodix, and that's the first occasion when they launched the first product in Chennai. In a printer called Palani Pop Printers. That's when I met Mr. Jain. And I think that was in 2011 or 2012 when I came back to India. And myself, Akram has called me coach, and he's mixed a lot of that into my title. But I come from the printing industry myself, and I've been in the printing industry almost from 1996. Printing, of course, also packaging, and of course into 3D printing. So I think that's why Akram and yourself have picked for me to come into this show. That's a great journey from 96 to now. And I'm also watching as much as what the Monotech has been doing, and Mr. Jain has been instrumentally growing. So one major issue in the Indian market has been the growth of scaling. And I think Monotech has come on top, doing that very, very well. And a lot of growth starting from the Scodic side and then into the different areas which I've seen. So I'm going to give you a little different perspective of my knowledge of the printing and packaging and 3D printing industry. I've also evolved, which means I've been in the early days in Middle East, almost like 96 to 2011. I've been in the Middle East. So in the Middle East, I witnessed a global surge in the printing packaging market and the signage market. Fortunately, I've been in all the three of them, printing, a little bit of packaging, and also graphics and signage, graphic arts. And then when I came to India, joined the 3D printing market as well as the print services market in India as well. In the Middle East, we saw a huge growth in the wide format printing segment. We printed some of the largest projects in Dubai, the iconic projects like the tallest tower. We've been instrumental, incidentally and coincidentally, using the same equipment like OC and Canon and HP and all of these, and predominantly OC. And OC has been a driver in the large format printing industry. For those of who did not know earlier, OC in the Netherlands has driven a lot in the wide format market, and they were one of the global leaders in terms of the major projects, whether it's a rail, air, road, or any project across the globe. They have driven all of these media in wide format across the globe in any major project where volumes are consumed heavily. So the heavy volume market, OC saw a huge surge. Today, of course, OC has now become Canon with the wide format and small format market. And then, of course, there is I've been part of the signage industry. I remember those days in Saudi Arabia. When I first started, people used to draw signage by hand, and then they used to do, there used to be a great interest for the cutting market, the cutters. And when I entered the market, there was almost like 1 or 2 cutters. And fortunately for us, we used to deal with Roland DG products. And when I came out of the signage market, from Saudi Arabia, we had about 500 cutters in that period, somewhere from 95 to 93 to 95. So a huge scope in that market. Now that's where I thought, okay, the Middle East is growing. And of course, when I came to 96 to 2011, a lot happened. And why not India? And that's what brought me to India and seeing the global hub in India. The one difficulty was, as Mr. Jain rightly put out, is, of course, I'm not going to talk about negative the part, but of course, we need to see why is that India is also not growing in terms of course, a huge market, big market size, spread out across the country, different cultures, different way of doing things. But also the market is a bit different, the way people see print here. If you look at the UK, for example, every documentation is printed. So if the most important thing, they call it as the health and safety manual, or the H&S. And the health and safety industry used to be very important for the UK. So for any project they do, they have a huge documentation in print. And when you again look at signage, when you look at every area is marked properly. Even during COVID times, the signage, you saw a major surge in the UK and also in other markets. In India, it did see a surge, but people started drawing in chalks. No, they didn't use a print. They didn't use a packaging, or some of them started using chalks. But of course, the larger companies, the bigger malls probably did not have an opportunity, but we also promoted the COVID signage. The COVID signage became a big topic for the printing market also at these times. So I'm just going to take my presentation. Can I share my screen, sir, doctor?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just going to little bit of light onto what the industry is all about. And of course, it's a bit of summary into what all Mr. Jain had been telling. So just probably we can then throw light on whether these are agreeable parts, and then we can go on. So you can see it's a 32, if I can see, $32 billion industry and growing at to the 2025 segment. The printing market is growing somewhere like the $32 billion industry. And so what tomorrow looks like for the print industry is also something which I'm looking at covering. So of course, I'm just going to only give you glimpses because it's a very large industry. We have, in fact, we can talk about printing itself for a long time, packaging itself a long time, and manufacturing, which is of course additive manufacturing. So let me just give you some glimpses. So what people are looking at in 2021 and beyond is that they're saying that graphics and publications are growing. So low to high growth comes from the graphics and publication. I think Mr. Jain brought it up rightly, graphics. So today, I think slowly the graphics market is evolving in India. And I see a huge growth. And as rightly again, Mr. Jain put in, the professional people, or say, so to say, the next generation, the younger generation of the people who have been what we call in the US, the pop and mom shop or the family run print shops, or what we call in the US again, the print service providers or PSPs are now slowly evolving more professionally out into the Indian market. So today you look at Telangana or Secunderabad, there are large people investing on Indigos or big presses, including what Monotech is doing, the jet ski or other products and huge computer to tape products and all that. So the next generation is betting and investing into this market. But I think the policy of the government should also drive these people to be able to get the capital in a much more liquid or much more easier format, so that the market can invest, or the people coming into the market can invest into these graphics and applications. So we see a low to high growth in the graphics and publication market. That is the number one pointer. There was a bad phase, or there is still a bad phase. I have been associated with one of the Tamil Nadu people in Tamil Nadu government companies, which is into the printing segment. So we saw a big dip in the substrate, which is the paper printing market. Obviously, people started moving to homes or working from homes. So the need for print or the print media, so to say, the small format A4, A3 market. Predominantly, the A4 declined quite a bit. So that hit the paper manufacturers, the large mills like what we have in the Tamil Nadu, as well as the the other areas. It's a small bad phase to continue for the print substrate. So just the paper market did get a hit, and that will continue to last a little bit. I think the percentage is about 10. I will just share it in a few slides about how much is the percentage dip which has happened in that segment. And of course, e-commerce is in full swing, as Mr. Jain again mentioned. The labeling market, which is growing, the packaging market is growing. So e-commerce is adopted packaging, and a lot of customers want the first thing you see is the package. And today, if you don't like the package, you can return the product without even opening the product, right? With Amazon and other people coming in. So e-commerce is in full swing, and the delivery models have changed from virtual sales and SaaS models. And of course, the diversification, which is going to be the key. And then the rise of online print orders. There are a lot of now print companies embracing the e-commerce platforms. So people who have not been using the e-commerce segment for the logging an order, today you can go to a photo booth, select your photos from your phone kiosk. You can key in those photos and then select it and leave it at the print at the photo. I mean, leave it out of your home into the print shop provider or PSP, and actually from the internet, the print shop provider has a backend. Then they look at your raw photos. They make it into a nice album. They add the graphics to it, the background. You can even tell them where you have been. Was it a holiday? Was it a ski trip or whatever it is? And they can give you those backgrounds from that digital library. And then they can enhance completely your photos, which is just taken from a mobile device, maybe an Android or an iPhone, even better, an iPhone. And if you see the new iPhones evolving, they are now suitable to print because iPhone photographs are now high quality. Therefore, the number of photos evolving into the photo market has been for what we call as a photo book market has been very, very encouraging. But then it has to grow faster. People still keep it in digital format, but nothing like having it in a album, having it in something in front of you, having some nice. The wedding industry, the event management industry has embraced it very well. So I think people like the HPs and even like the Monotechs have all grown phenomenally with the photo album industry and the photo book industry. So that's something which we have to look at. So the online from the online area, you can just put into throw the photos into the print service provider. They have great templates. All you have to say is how do you want, what is the background, where you have been, and then everything is done at the back end. Then it is gone to the print equipment or whatever large format or small format equipment, and it goes with the like what Mr. Jain said, the enhancement of embossing and other things, and finally it is delivered through the courier or the delivery platforms. So that, and then the payment is made online. So all of that has been embraced pretty well, and I think that is going to grow phenomenally because we've been sitting at home for the last 1.5 to 2 years, but then you have a lot of memories, and how are these memories going to be shared, and how are these memories going to come out? It's all going to come out and be available to you in a platform to save. And I think that's the photo books are a classical example of that. And of course the packaging, and that's what is being predicted is it's going to be the new star for the future. And if you look at the packaging market, that's again evolving into smart packaging, as Mr. Jain mentioned. Today, if you look at customization, packaging is big. So today, you like a particular platform for a change. Recently, I presented my daughter for her birthday with a cushion, and that I just had to give only 2 pictures, and then within the same day, Ferns and Petals, I think one of the companies turned online, could deliver a pillow customized completely with textile printing, digitally made, and just the same day they could deliver that product to us at home. So that's the way packaging and textile printing has evolved, and all of it as obviously has an underlying technology into it, substrate into it, and also the media and ink into it. And there, I think over the period of time, we saw thermal inkjet, we saw a laser, we saw different technologies. And then finally now inkjet is still evolving on top. So if you look at the small end market where the HP or small office printing market is involved, the inks are still costly. So there is a refilling market, which is predominantly happening. But the ink industry there is very small. But then the working from home has pushed a lot of off-the-shelf ink products from the HP or Canons and all of these to the people who are seeing at home, and that drove the ink tank market, so to call. So you can say that small format inks have grown phenomenally. They've grown in price. They've grown in volume. In fact, during COVID, we couldn't get ink to be sold to the dealers. I'm part of the print franchise, so I could know that we could not get HP inks to be sold to the customer. And even during lockdown, we saw people coming home to take inks and do the books and school work work and things like that. So therefore, inkjet technology will still continue to evolve for the future. So these are the drivers. I'll just throw some highlights quickly into that. So just a summary. So as I said, the future of printing industry, the low to high growth, bad phase, the good news, the e-commerce, and then of course the e-commerce packaging has gone up by 40%. And every purchase requires additional packaging with delivery labels. And of course, the diversification I mentioned, the dual delivery models I mentioned, the online print order I mentioned, and packaging, and of course, ink technology. So looking at the trends, what I think this has been already shared, but just to give you a perspective, 411 billion has been the commercial printing market in 2020 in the global side. And it is estimated to grow to 472 billion between 21 to 26, 2021 to 2026. And what is said is the CAGR is almost like double-digit figures of single digit of 2.24%. But looking at India, the Indian commercial market is going to go even bigger and faster. And if 5 years from now, the printing market is predicted to witness a remarkable growth. And in India, if you come from the global perspective to the Indian market, it is expected to exhibit stable growth from 21 to 26. And the value of the printing industry across India was estimated as 190 billion rupees, and it is expected to go to 258 billion rupees by 2023, with a compound growth of just about 11%, which is as new as 2021 May, which is almost very recent. So it is not about COVID, but still the printing industry is going to grow leaps and bounds. And according to a report from Smithers, the consumption of the print substrate was down by 10.4% in 2022, which will be 229 million tons, but compared to 256 million tons. So the little bit of hit, or the negative side of it, if you look at, is only the substrate, which has really experienced a 10% downturn, but the rest of the market is really showing phenomenal positive signs and growth. And I think if people watching this, the youngsters watching this, want to know which area to grow to, there is a beautiful market, which is the printing, the packaging, and of course the additive manufacturing, which I'm going to address shortly. And then of course, looking at the packaging industry, it is again a phenomenal industry, 31 billion in 2015, and it is now going into 72 billion in the year of 2020, and it's compounding at 18%, CAGR of compounding growth of 18%. And in India, it is expected to become the 5th largest consumer market in the world. And this is from CII, Confederation Indian Industry. And then inception of new technologies, rise in e-commerce, changing lifestyles, urbanization, personal health awareness, like packaging, tissue paper. People are now every car has got a tissue box. Every house wants to have proper tissues, and hygiene has improved. Sanitization has needed more proper products in home as well as wherever you are. And then of course it has also boosted the growth for packaging markets. And finally, the regions like Asia Pacific are growing, and this is from ASSOCHAM and EY, a joint study. And then, so which means 26.7% is the growth expected from 21 to 26 from the packaging industry. And of course, after the pandemic, most developed companies are either burning waste paper or using it for landfill to avoid the coronavirus spread. So the paper is burning, but then the lifestyles are changing, the population is increasing, and the penetration of media is also growing. And that's therefore the demand for packaging has increased. If you today look at TV ads, packaging has changed, completely changed, and Indian packaging has changed. The famous thing we look at, the peanut candy. If you look at the packaging of a peanut candy today, that has also changed. So everything has changed, from a butter to the peanut candy to a chocolate, to everything has now become customizable, and changes are happening phenomenally into that industry. And nearly 50% of the paper produced in the country, as a report says, is used for packaging purposes. So the rapid growth of the market is phenomenally driven. And if you today look at the healthcare market, pharmaceuticals, the food and beverages have changed. So today, your way the packages and food is being delivered, even wraparound, the offers coming out, the wraparound on a plastic box is all about the packaging industry. Nice wraparounds prompt you to buy more. And within the wraparound, you get some offers, and so on and so forth. So all of these are driving the industry forward, and the companies which are in the FMCG business are started to adopt. So even a cloud kitchen, if it has a nice packaging done, its product will come out as if it's a product from a 5-star for a 5-star restaurant, or maybe a great high skill or upskilling. What you can call is a upmarket restaurant coming out, but actually it's coming from a cloud kitchen. So the packaging has changed, the way the food is presented, the way the food is actually seen even before it's consumed. So it is always said that even before you consume food, the way you look at it will make you crave for more. So the look and feel has always been the ancient times onwards, how a food is packaged has been always the way it's presented and the way it is distributed makes it very attractive, and that has also changed the way the shelving of happened in the mall. So if you look at the Indian malls today, the shelves have changed and how the packagings have changed, and who's grabbing the shelf space has also changed into the way the food is being consumed. So food processing, personal care, pharmaceuticals, end user industries are all having a great scope for the packaging market. And if you look at the packaging industry, 103 billion by 2025 globally, with just about 5% growth. But in the Indian Association, they're predicting about 24 to 27% per annum, and that's a huge growth actually. And the evolution of packaging is also going to sustainability. So today, it's in Hindi they say "Jo dikta hai, wahi bikta hai." I'm not a Hindi guy, but I can say that that's what they call about. Whatever catches our eye, it sells, and whatever looks good will always sell. So we can't deny that, and therefore the ordering products is also based on soulful packaging. So if your soul attracts the packaging, you're going to buy. And those days we had only leaves to cover the food, or banana leaves or other things to cover the food. But today it's all changing from a complete packaging industry, which is mushrooming phenomenally. And of course, I should touch upon this part because the key to the printing industry is the ink. And inks have evolved phenomenally over the period of time. And Mr. Jain knows how much of milliliter or liters of ink they sell in nationwide across to there, because the large format printers, commercial printers do consume a lot of ink. But the solvent ink, the eco solvent ink, and then of course the UV cured inks, and also the latex inks have all come into the market. And these have all evolved the way you can put ink on paper. Now, if you look at the paper industry, the correct paper and the correct ink determines how a particular graphics image is represented. Even if you have a very high resolution image and then you put it on a bad paper and the ink is phenomenal, the whole output is gone. So therefore, the combination of the image and the quality of the ink and the quality of the paper it's being absorbed will make a great print. And that's what is the combination of solvent ink, which has waterproofing, fade resistant, abrasion. But then the eco solvent is more easy to put on uncoated substrate, because coating was required. Now you don't need coating. Then there was a big change in the flex market. They banned the flex, and now the eco solvent and other things changed. And therefore, the printing industry phenomenally changed around that. And just less maintenance is required on these kind of things. And then the point of sale, point of purchase, banners, vinyl, wall graphics, and trade show graphics, window graphics, and all of these are now, as Mr. Jain also said about the furniture today, even for wallpapers, all have come out of the printing industry. So I think this is where the market is going to be moving around. The inks, the paper usage, the ink usage. Earlier in the Indian market, when I came in 2011, we could not get the right paper. We had to import paper. But of course, it was being imported then. But then the right kind of paper, which I saw in the Middle East or the UK, was not available here. There we have a fantastic quality of papers available. The range of paper available coming out of the different market, like Government, for example, or I would say Conqueror is another company, were fantastic, which will make the substrate look better. Now the ink, the quality look better. But now I think India has also got a complete range. I'm sure after my presentation, Mr. Jain can throw a light about the ink and the paper today and what is happening to the Indian market. And of course, something which Mr. Jain mentioned is the fabric. Textile printing with dye sublimation, pigment, UV, eco solvent is also a phenomenal area to look at. So for those of the people looking at the printing industry and thinking that printing is dying, please change your mind. Printing will not die. The packaging will not die. You can see the billions of dollars being invested into the industry, and therefore, of course, the one can make a PSP out of it. The print service providers. If you look at the European market, they have grown phenomenally, and if you look at the Middle East market, I've seen millionaires coming out of the printing market. So in India, I don't see such people coming out except in pockets within Chennai. If you look, there are some, there are a few people who have really come out, and there are professional signage. I know one company which is Sign Trade. I think they are into big time into signages. And then you have Signarama, which is a global company, and now Signarama is a company which has embraced signage and latex and all of things, and they deliver professional products across the globe, and they are a global franchise. They offer signage as a franchise. So there are a lot of opportunities for youngsters, not only looking at the IT industry or looking at what to do during the pandemic. There's a huge market out there, and I think the youngsters can look at the professional print market, the packaging market, and grow in that segment, because a PSP business is an independent business. And I think after my talk, Mr. Jain can throw a light onto what should one do to start up into a printing and packaging industry. And I think a lot of advice can be offered by Monotech itself. But how can one youngster come and start? Because there was a question on Quora, actually, as I was Googling yesterday or today, I saw there's a question, I want to start to the printing and packaging industry, what should I do? So I think Mr. Jain can throw a light about all that. So this is also about the signage. And the areas where signage is growing is flow graphics, window graphics, banners and signs, posters and flyers, and vehicle wraps. So vehicle wraps, again, is not so much still being adopted in a large scale in India. But if you go to a big container or a truck in UK or Europe, you'll see some phenomenal graphic signages in the vehicles, wrapped around the vehicles. You cannot imagine. Some of the exhibitions I've seen are phenomenally done. So all of that is also going to change. And despite the pandemic, the soft signage opportunities are growing, and the white format signage is also being growing.
Srikanth, if you can quickly conclude.
Yeah, I'm just going to go quickly out into the. I'm just keeping all this and going straight away to the manufacturing side. Just a quick thing. So if you look at Industry 4.0, additive manufacturing holds the key. I'm just going to talk a few things about additive manufacturing. So you can see the 3D printing or the adoption curve. And I think we've had this in a different forum, but drugs and other areas, and aerospace and defense, automotive, this is seeing a maturity, and I think that's also an area to look for. And the fundamental elements, of course, we know about all of them. I've mentioned it: flexible, intelligent, and autonomous solutions. So the digital industrial solutions have now evolved. 3D printing has now matured into a more industrial-based products. So metal printing, and other technologies have come in, which has made digital transformation of companies and industries. So this is one such company which I picked up on the internet. Say what's possible in 3D printing. So huge parts can be now for tooling through the enterprise. Company called Dunlop is doing that. People like Bentley, Toyota, Rolls-Royce, Harley Davidson have all been early adopters to metal printing. So metal is paving the way in 3D printing, and some parts which people could not print and never thought can be done on 3D printing are now being done on 3D printing. And of course, that's what it is about. Future of additive is now. So this is another slide. I think Mr. Jain can throw a lot of insight into the questions of what is the future of additive and how it is actually happening. So it has come from CNC, which is the computer numerically control area, and now into atomic diffusion, additive manufacturing, and also metal injection molding. So all of these areas are growing phenomenally well. So just to summarize, the solution for a customer is it can be recover faster when parts break. We can operate with less inventory and save money, and have rapid response times when supply chains are disrupted like these times. So some of these examples, you can say design, print, wash, sinter, and actually use them in what you want to do directly. Some examples like this where in automotive and other areas where you can use these molds, and some smart parts where you can print today in very, very less quality. And that's almost like the examples I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Srikanth. I think you made an extensive presentation covering a lot of areas. I'll just request, because we have absolutely 17 minutes more than time that we had, I'll request Mr. Jain to give the closing remarks, or maybe your final message.
Yeah, see, I'll just respond to what Mr. Srikanth has asked. Say how a new person who wants to come into printing and packaging industry. See, the most important thing, this is a matured industry. There are a lot of players. There's a lot of competition around. And if someone wants to come in, see, he has to have a vision. He has to have passion. He has to have, some sort of an idea to solve an existing problem, which people are facing, and it's not difficult to identify. So once one builds, his business model on these aspects, rather than just coming and buying a machine and putting a print shop, it's not going to be successful. But if you do it differently, if you have some innovation, in mind, or some some niche to be addressed in the market, I'm pretty sure the market, the industry is growing. A lot of new things are happening. And one can make a space for himself, because it's a very, very exciting industry. And as I said, it's basically a combination of art and technology. So that's where, if a person is passionate about it, he can really sort of wed the two together and create a space for himself. So that's one side. On the additive side, the future is great. Of course, as I said, the mass manufacturing, the future of mass manufacturing is at stake. I think a lot of changes are going to happen. We already can see, in the air, and as the time goes, it will accelerate. It will find much more adoption, and it's going to provide the solutions, which we can't even think today. That's what I think, because every day we see the new things happening, new solutions getting provided, new, sort of applications coming into place. And that's where, I think the future of the additive manufacturing is. So it's very, very exciting, say, I would say, as an organization for us, as a country for India. And I'm pretty sure that, we can leverage on all this to become a strong global player and, find our place, as far as these opportunities and, the industries are concerned, as a strong global, participant and player.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Jain. Indeed, a pleasure listening to you, the journey, the roadmap that you have laid down. And then now, after massive success domestically, after decent success domestically, now you are eyeing at globally. So we will be with you and we will do together. We will ride together. Our only objective is we want to make India the global manufacturing hub of the world. And we are committed for this. So all the activities and work that we will do, we will try to ensure that how much India as a nation gains to become the global manufacturing hub. So we will be in touch with you. We will take your expertise to across different industry verticals, as you mentioned, textile and other sectors. So viewers, we at Policy Times, promoting development journalism, we bring experts like Mr. Jain, who has such a rich experience and has a lot to offer to the world, to the nation. Do keep watching us and do subscribe to Policy Times. Thank you.